It is 28 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. And yes, it's a Monday, but look who's on the program.
That's because today is a very special day, but I'll keep it.
So good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Maupe Ogunyusi.
And I'm Kayla Magwa this bright, beautiful Monday morning. Thank you all so much for being with us on the program. Good morning, Ayo.
Well, good morning, ladies. Markwa, you missed out that daily dose of sunshine. Amaya Makinde, welcome to the show. And it's 27 degrees in Lagos, and we understand that it's going to get as high as between 32 and 40 degrees later on in this day in the city of Lagos. Well, Google, the weatherman promises excessive heat. No, don't ask me. I'm not the weatherman. I'm just dishing it out here. And you know, another thing that may heat up in due time is that transfer window that's closing, particularly in the education center. I only heard about transfer windows in sports, but now we have to talk about transfer windows in education, and it is closing, particularly for SS3 students. I hear, Maokwe, from the grapevine that somebody was... I don't want to say it. You go ahead and say it yourself.
Can you imagine? I mean, what a way to say it. Well, somebody benefited from the transfer season window. Well, let's not even go there, because it turns out when she eventually explained, it didn't quite work like that. She didn't benefit from it. I think she misunderstands what it is we're talking about. We're talking about people who, you know, leave their school. They've been in school the time in a particular secondary school all of the time, from perhaps SS1 to SS2, and all of a sudden in senior secondary school they decide that the school that they have been in no longer serves their purpose, and they want to go and do their senior secondary school 3 in another school entirely. Now the Federal Ministry of Education is saying no more. If you are in any school, you must either stay in that school till SS3, or if you must transfer, then you go back to SS2 to go and continue from that school, and then that's where you're going to write your WAEC exams.
It wasn't misunderstood at all.
Kayla, you didn't do any of that.
No, we did. It was a thing. And that's the thing. I like the fact that the Ministry of Education is doing this right now. It was a thing back in the day, where they wanted, many parents, like my parents, wanted their children to go to secondary school quicker, wanted them to enter university faster. So many parents, what they were doing in this, and yes, I did that. I did all of my secondary school in one particular school. Then they now moved me at SS1. They now tried me to see if I would pass WAEC in another school. And when they tried me, I happened to pass it and gain admission. So it was a thing back in the day.
You are not the target. I can tell you, I assure you that you are not the target of this particular directive. It is not people who are honestly willing to write the exams. This is now actually to stop what they now call special centers.
Yes.
Places that people go because they know that they are able to subvert the system. They're able to cheat their way through, and, you know, answers are served to these people a la carte in so-called examinations that they're supposed to be writing. And these centers are usually reserved. Those are the people that they are targeting. I do know that, yes, every parent wants their child to be, you know, pre-prepared. In SS2, I did do GCE, you know, and then in SS3, of course, the schools too want their students to be prepared. So you do mock exams, just to be sure that you are in the all clear for your final examinations. But what the Federal Ministry of Education is saying is that the policy will take effect. Let me just see if I can find the first paragraph now. They said they've announced a nationwide prohibition on the admission and transfer of students into senior secondary school 3 in all public and private secondary schools. Take note, all public and private secondary schools. According to the ministry, the policy will take effect from the next academic year, 2026 to 2027, with admissions and transfers now restricted strictly to senior secondary school 1 and senior secondary school 2. Admission or transfer into SS3 will no longer be permitted under any circumstance. So school proprietors and administrators nationwide have been directed to comply fully with the policy, as any violation will attract appropriate sanctions in line with existing education regulations and guidelines. You know, the statement is quite long, but that is essentially the meat of it. So we'll wait and see what the reactions, because this circular has only just come out. It's dated the 14th of December, so it was released yesterday, and we'll wait to see just what schools and parents will have to say about this. Don't forget the uproar that happened when the minimum age for writing JAMB was put at 18.
Now they have to start going after those special centers.
Yeah, and
that's the next phase. Go after those special centers, start to crack down on those places. They are illegal. And for the parents who take their children to special centers to write exam, you're not doing them any service. You're not helping them at all, because they will not be able to meet up with regular students in the real world when they actually now get into university. So cracking down on those centers is necessary. And kudos to the Ministry of Education for starting this up.
Well, Kayla has already given you a thumbs up. We'll see about that, you know, in terms of whether that is actually going to receive a thumbs up from the schools. And because we do know that it's not the first time the ministry has come out to say something. It's been received with mixed reactions, and all of a sudden there is a reversal. So we'll wait and see how this fares. I mean, everybody knows the reason why this has been passed, why this is being done, if it's going to receive the support it deserves, or whether there will be objections, because sometimes there will be innocent casualties, Kayla.
Yeah.
Families get transferred all the time. People have to move in many circumstances. Are you saying that the children are going to be deprived of their right to be able to transfer to a school legitimately? So quite a number of reactions that could come as a result of that, of this particular directive, which is actually meant to, you know, give the, let's say, paralyze examination malpractice in our country, which is becoming something that, you know, we all should be very concerned about. Ayo, a quick comment on this, and then the surprise we have to serve for you this morning. You think you're seeing 3 anchors and you should be excited? Just wait.
Well, I think we should just, okay, so when Kayode was signing off the morning brief, he said something that this is the chamber of Sunrise Daily. And we all know that there is someone who has such a prefix to his name. Ladies, please do the honors.
Drum rolls. I actually had a song in my head.
Yes,
it's a return of the Mac.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Introducing again the
lead anchor
of Sunrise Daily, right here on Channels Television. The wonderful Chamberlain Usoh is back.
You know, when I was small, I thought drum roll was for musicians. I didn't know it could also apply in this case.
We should have gotten a proper band.
And actually,
because for a whole, I mean, even maternity leave, even when you go on maternity leave, the max you can do possibly will be like 4 months, and then maybe if you ask for a little, they might say, okay, we'll give you half a year.
Well,
12 months?
Is it 12? Was it 12 months?
It was exactly 12 months.
Exactly 12 months?
Yes.
Time flies, I guess.
Can you imagine? It only flies when you're having fun. So when you're having fun,
well, we're here receiving, where is Chamberlain? Did he leave the country? Has he left channels? All of these questions. You are here now.
Well, yes, I mean, morning, guys. I mean, thanks for the lovely welcome. Yeah, it was... I mean, time flew just so fast like that. But first of all, I mean, so many things happened, part of it, which was, of course, Nigerian hospitals and what I had to go through. So, you know, when you just feel maybe a slight headache or you have some pain or something, you just feel, let me just dash in and then back to work. And then before you know what's going on, whew, things started going south. And you just thought, what's going on? And then one day it was like, you know how they say in Pidgin, I cannot come and go and die here. So you just had to, I had to just leave the country to go attend to all of this. So I thank God, thank Roy. Yeah, it was fantastic. As a matter of fact, it was awesome. So what we have, I mean, people never know. You know, when you have life, when you have all of those things, you should thank God all the time, as a matter of fact. So, which was my own case. So, I thank God that
I have a question for Chamberlain.
And we're here, alive, back and kicking, as a matter of fact. And so, so good to be back. And
Great
you
to
guys have done a fantastic job, you as well. So, I mean, very interesting, I tell you. And of course, to all of those who kept on, lots of people tried to reach out. And
Chamberlain.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all. It was fantastic.
Well, let me ask
to
this.
have you back, Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I mean, we did not think, I mean, we kept on wondering, sitting on this chair, I kept on saying, well, usually, you know, that's where I sit. And you sit over here. And I know that every morning, getting made up, I keep on saying, is this now permanent? Do I, you know, when is he coming back? Even I did not know when you were coming
I didn't even know when I was coming back myself.
But I'm glad that you are back.
Yeah.
In one whole piece.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Alive, hale, and hearty.
Absolutely.
Thanks be to God.
It's awesome. It's great. Because, I mean, when you leave your house, the expectation is that people leave expecting to come back. But you just never know.
You never know.
Every second that we have counts. So we need to make the best of it at every opportunity we have.
I know the wonderful thing about this is most people don't realize is Chamberlain is not just the lead anchor of Sunrise Daily, he's also the station manager of Channels TV Abuja. And it's been a year of prayers, a year of well-wishing, a year of hoping and praying, and we are so glad to have you back. You look fantastic, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I can only thank God for all of that.
Take a little of that elixir.
Yeah,
you know, maybe we'll ask you for it behind the scenes. But
You know, I was saying I'm still groggy a little bit, so not wanting to saturate myself with developments, but I can see education already flying all over the place.
I think Ayo has a few things he wants to say to you as well.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Ayo.
Well, first thing, thank you, Kayla. First thing, Chamberlain, how does it feel to be the one sitting in the guest chair? Because especially not being the
Very
one
warm.
to
It
take
feels
all
really
the
warm.
issues, taking all the questions right now. It's definitely good to have you back. And I know that the coming days you're going to reflect some of your learnings, some of your experiences, you know, in the program and everything, and that definitely is going to happen. So we are grateful to God. I mean, this is Marco, you've been asking for a Christmas gift. Well, this is definitely one. You've been telling me how boring it is to be the only one sitting in that chair. Well, welcome to my life. It's what I do every day. So, Chamberlain, let me ask you, Chamberlain, how does it feel being in the guest chair, taking questions from me right now?
Just don't think about it, just do it. That's the fun part of it, just do it. It's a mindset, you know, once you just, you know what they say, body over matter, mind over matter, whichever way, whichever order you want. Nice and easy, just rock and roll. Well, I'm not sure it's going to be the same thing with this education stuff I heard you guys talking about.
Okay, well, I see that you have you
ruminate upon.
You have take on it.
You know how the news cycle is here in Nigeria. It never stops. It never, you know, from one issue to the other. Children are not being abducted today. There is a kidnapping there tomorrow. NLC is threatening a strike. And NARD just called off theirs.
Oh, they're called off finally.
Oh, yes, they called off their strike. You know, all manner of issues. So trust me, there will be enough time. There will be time enough. There will be time enough for you to really get into the groove. But something really hot, because it's not only Chamberlain who has come back today. His return also sees the return of somebody you will not believe is also coming back to, well, I would not say he's coming back, but he's going to be given a lot of explanation, especially of his time in office. So you can call it coincidence, or maybe it's not a coincidence, I don't know. But if it's a coincidence, it's certainly a happy coincidence. We're happy to have Chamberlain back, but wait until you see the interview we have for you next.
I think meanwhile, myself and Ayo would be we'll be letting you guys handle this.
So we're on our own now, right?
Yes, you and Miles have a great show. We'll be on the sidelines cheering you on, and welcome back, and looking forward to the great conversations that we have ahead on the program.
All right, see you in a bit.
I'm done.
Welcome back, everybody, to the show. Again, it's really good to be back. But this time, for 8 years, he served as Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture, overseeing government communication during some of the country's most talked about moments. In his new book, Headlines and Soundbites, Media Moments That Defined an Administration, he reflects on issues including the Twitter suspension, the government's response to CNN's EndSARS reports, and the PNID arbitration case, alongside personal tributes to the late President Mohamed. Lai Mohammed, CON, longest-serving Minister of Information from 2015 to 2023, joins us this morning. Welcome to the program, sir.
Chamberlain, good morning and welcome back. Okay. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome, sir. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, sir. You know, it was just like yesterday, as a matter of fact, you know, whilst you were there. So it just leaves people thinking and wondering, wait a minute, ever since you left, what have you been doing ever since you left office?
Well, thank you very much for having me once again. I've been a bit busy since I left. I was fortunate to have been appointed a special advisor to the UN Secretary General on UN tourism, and that has taken quite a lot of my time. It's made me travel, you know, and widen my perspective on the creative industry. I've also started a small consultancy lobbying in a lobbying firm in partnership with the Barra partners of Washington, D.C. So that's kept me a bit busy, and I've also been doing a bit of mentoring. I've been giving talks at universities and colleges of technology. Last Friday, I was at the Achievers University to give a convocation lecture, and the whole idea is to give back to society. So I've been a bit busy, I must say, since I left office.
Have you also had your ears open to listen to some of the feedback that, you know, have, have come after you finished your tenure?
I've listened to a few, but my reaction is that it's very simple, which is everybody will play his own role, will play his own piece, and then we'll leave posterity to, judge us and our performance. But overall, I think I thank God for having had the opportunity to have served at that level for that length of time. And I think I put in my best, and I would just hope that others will build on it.
Okay.
You know, at what point did you decide to write this book? I mean, when did the idea hit you to put out the book?
I think the idea came about June this year.
Okay.
That was before the president died, the late president died. And it was just because I had a meeting with a few of my aides, and we felt it was important that we preserve the records. We agreed that the problem with Africans is that we don't write enough. And when you don't write your own story, others will write your story for you, and they might distort it in the process. They say if you want to hide something from an African, go and put it in a book, because we don't, read enough. Again, we believe that it's important to throw some light into certain controversies and give the real facts behind some of the headlines, and let people know how or why certain decisions were taken. There are a lot of behind-the-scene, events that will probably help the public to understand why certain decisions were taken. The honest truth is that as much as I was inside and I was in the engine room of communication or government communication, there was also a lot of pushback attempts, a lot of misinformation that almost overshadowed what the real facts are. So this book really is about throwing more light at things that are probably generally misunderstood.
And there were quite a number of events, you know, that marked your tenure in office. I mean, you already highlighted a few of them. The ban on Twitter, for instance, the EndSARS campaign, and a number of other issues. I was going to come back, you know, before we get to those particular issues, some of which you have highlighted in the summary of the book. I wanted to talk about the distinction, it would seem, because on a normal day, when a party continues in office, there should be an idea of continuity. But it appears that what we're seeing is a stoppage of sorts. Like, you know, the Buhari administration has ended, and it would seem that I could almost swear that another party was in power. The distinction in terms of the mark that has now been made, and sometimes, I dare say, the disconnect between those who are currently in office right now and those who have exited. Do you have a comment or two on what a lot of people perceive to be a frosty relationship between those who were in the government of President Muhammadu Buhari and those who are currently in the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Malcolm, I don't see any frosty relationship, frankly speaking. You see, from a person who had back-to-back been spokesperson for the opposition and also spokesperson to government, I have seen both sides of the divide. And I can see why it would appear probably at times that, you know, there's a discontinuation of one program or the other. But really, like we say in politics, we campaign in poetry, but we rule in prose. You see, it's when you are inside the kitchen that you can perceive the odor and the flavor, you know, of the kitchen. I quite understand and appreciate what this administration or anything would be going through. You would have necessarily to reorder your priorities. That does not mean that you are abandoning, you know, what the other administration is doing, as has done.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to take a look at the paper, The Guardian, today. Let's take a look at what The Guardian is. It's very interesting that this is the headline of The Guardian on the day that the spokesperson of this administration is coming on our program. I mean, we certainly did not have a conversation with them. And this is what The Guardian is reporting this morning. Buhari's legacy on trial as Emefiele ex-ministers face 3.5 trillion naira graft probe. I know that you have a whole chapter, or perhaps even more, dedicated to the legacy and as a tribute to President Muhammadu Buhari. And I do know that the feelings of Nigerians after he passed on in terms of his legacy was also quite mixed. But today, this is the front page of The Guardian, that his legacy is on trial as these people are facing a corruption trial, you know, under this administration. What are your thoughts on it?
You see, Malcolm, I think it would be very unfair to ask me to probably pronounce judgment on my colleagues or to, you know, to make comments on what is actually already in court. Now, but I don't think, and I'm saying this with all sense of humility, that the legacy of Buhari is actually on trial. The legacy of Buhari is so huge and it's so enduring that it will be unfair to take the issue of a few ministers who have been alleged, and I must use this word, you know, very, you know, advisedly, who have been alleged, you know, as if the entire legacy of President Muhammadu Buhari is on trial. He did so much within his 8 years, and that is actually the essence of this book. You know, the management of the COVID, you know, pandemic is one. Another fact is on record that Nigeria is reputed to be the third best country to have handled the COVID-19 pandemic. The issue of P&ID, like you rightly mentioned, is there for us, you know, to talk about. The innovation of the National Theatre, under my own watch, is there to talk about as part of his legacy. But even the most, to me, some of the most enduring, legacy of his is how, we were able to, leverage innovative strategies to communicate government to the people, and people to government, and also get a feedback, to government.
The government really gets a feedback from the people on some of the policies that it passed. Did they really get a feedback? Just curious.
From the people, of course they did. You see, if you look up, and it's in this book, we organized town hall meetings. At those town hall meetings, policymakers spoke directly to the people, and people responded. There was no holds barred. It was televised live, and depending on what was the topic of discussion, if it was infrastructure, it was insecurity, we moved to the, to the centers of insecurity. We were in Usoh, we were in Maiduguri, we were in Makodi, where the herdsmen farmers, clashes were, was raging. So it provided that opportunity for the people to talk back to the government, and we brought back this, reactions back to government. And I think that's one of the enduring legacies for me of the Buhari administration.
Was there any policy or any decision that was talked about in any of those town hall that was eventually executed by the government?
Oh yes, I think I cannot quite remember, but many of them we brought back to council, and we made them, council, issues. And then you see, don't forget that at those town hall meetings too, the ministers in charge were there. So it didn't really need too much. It was not even really for me to take back. If we were talking about infrastructure, the Minister for Works and Housing was there. If we were talking about insecurity, the Minister of Defense, the IG of the police was there. If we were talking about agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture was there. So really it was a direct feedback. It didn't need to go back to council. I mean, the ministers and their aides immediately took note, and they did it where possible.
You've listed some positive achievements of the Buhari administration, which still stand today. The National Theatre is certainly one of them, and I think a lot of people are happy to see that theatre back in use. You also listed the success in the PNID case, which could have actually made Nigeria bankrupt, were it to have, scaled through. But successfully, Nigeria was able to, quash that particular matter. However, there were a number of other very, very disturbing developments within the Buhari administration. New problems that reared their head, and people thought the Buhari administration was going to be able to quash before it left office, especially given the basis upon which it campaigned. The Buhari administration was the one that came in 2015, campaigning on three prongs, security, ending in insecurity, fighting corruption, and the economy. However, on these three counts, particularly the first two, the issue of security and the issue of corruption, it would seem that they only grew bigger. I'll give you an instance. Talk about Boko Haram. Some people will say, yes, the administration made great strides in quashing Boko Haram, especially in its first tenure. However, the issue of banditry seemed to have grown, and it has become a huge tree now, which we're now trying to cut down. But questions will be, how come it wasn't seen in good time to be nipped when it started, especially for an administration that promised to fight insecurity? Then corruption, and it speaks to what exactly is going on now with some very important ministers of government who served under the administration being taken to court, even if it's only been alleged, for graft. And that's something that ought not to be said, but those allegations were there. And then let's also add to it, or maybe I shouldn't add it just yet, this response, of the government to protests take for instance, the EndSARS protest. It continues to be one very serious issue where it is unclear, or will I say the government at the time, the federal government at the time, lived in denial in spite of what the report of the state governments, the panels set up by the different state governments came up with. What's your response to that?
Well, I'll start with the last. Our position on EndSARS was very clear. At no point did the federal government say there were no casualties during EndSARS. There were casualties. We reported them. We admitted them. 37 policemen lost their lives. 6 soldiers lost their lives. That's during EndSARS. Nobody speaks about this. But we admitted it. We gave the numbers that lost their lives in Kano, in Abuja, everywhere. But what we said and what we still insist on, that there were no massacres at the Lekki toll gate. And I think this is where I disagreed with the CNN. The CNN was not at the Lekki toll gate. CNN relied on poorly sourced stories to write their story.
You still stand by that?
Absolutely. That's why there's a whole chapter devoted to that. This is what is the only massacre in the whole of the world that there are no bodies. We did not say people didn't die in Lagos. People died in Alimosho, people died everywhere. But there was no massacre at the toll gate. And I challenge anybody to come and tell me today that my son or my daughter was at the toll gate, he didn't come back home.
Have you read the Lagos State report?
Of course, not only did I read it, I studied it, and I came back immediately when I came back from France and had a whole World Press Conference in which I dissected it. I said, no, this is what really transpired. See, we, at the federal government level, we had access to certain information they didn't have. And I know for a fact, because I was continuously in touch with the Chief of Army Staff and the Chief of Defense Staff, all throughout those operations, and we had meetings with them, and I know for a fact that soldiers were issued blank bullets when they went to the Lekki toll gate. The actors are still alive today.
Oh, not that they were issued both blank and live bullets.
No.
But the military later on admitted to the use of live bullets at the Lekki toll gate.
I am not aware of that. Honestly, I'm not aware of that. And I'm just saying, the General Nishaki and Co are still alive today. But I know that there was no massacre at Lekki toll gate. There was a lot of fake news, a lot of misinformation. But really, the truth of the matter, and I stand by it up to today. Of course, it's not a very popular, it's not popular at all, because everybody wants to believe that, people were massacred at the toll gate. And I say this, very simple. Tell me one person who says my daughter or my son or my ward was at the Lekki toll gate and he was shot and killed there. It's 5 years on.
But were soldiers deployed? Did you have that information?
Of course. Soldiers were deployed to quell the riot, yes, but they were issued...
Protest. It was a peaceful protest.
No. By the time soldiers went, they had been hijacked, as you know. Yes. Even it became almost uncontrollable and soldiers were deployed. No doubt about it, but they were issued blank shots.
Yeah, but why would soldiers
I know I have
deployed?
it on very good authority. Sorry, Chamberlain. Very good authority that the soldiers later on admitted to using live bullets, live ammunition at the Lekki toll gate.
I say, and I think I was at a vantage position because I cross-checked every minute. Even before the Lekki toll gate issue, every fortnight I met with security officers. They were all entire security architecture, the IG, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, the DGSSS, the DGNI, just to discuss, the security situation in the country. So we met frequently, and we asked ourselves questions. And so when I made a statement, I was making it from a position of authority and strength. I did not manufacture them. So I don't know what your source is, but I know that officially that soldiers were issued blank bullets when they were deployed to the toll gate. And you see, the military as an institution is not something you toy with. There are procedures before you even go out there. What you sign for, the quantity, and what you return with.
Okay. So is it possible that blank bullets were also able to injure
the protesters?
Look, you see, the whole idea of bullets is to disable you. Of course, yes. It could probably. Yes, and don't forget, I'm not a forensic, I'm not a ballistic forensic expert. But I'm saying that to the best of my knowledge, as of today, there was no massacre at the Lekki toll gate.
But do you, because a lot of young people always thought that governments, not just while you were in office, governments across board, usually they don't listen to them. It's always about their own interest, because you have an insider perspective. Could you speak to that? Because some of them thought most of the policies that government takes is just out of making sure that, oh yeah, they are comfortable in office, they're not removed, they feel good afterwards, but not policies that will directly benefit the average Nigerian who's out there.
You see, there's a chapter in this book which tells about what I say, probably the most trying moment in my tenure as a minister. And that coincided with the EndSARS protest, when my children and my entire family were so harassed and so bullied, both online and offline, that at a point they actually asked me to resign as a minister. And I had to explain to them from an insider's perspective what actually transpires in government. You see, the perception out there and the optic out there is not necessarily or always the real truth of the matter. And this is what this book has set out to correct. Long-held misconception about why government takes certain actions. For instance, the popular belief out there is that the government suspended the operations of Twitter in Nigeria because Twitter deleted a tweet made by President Mohamed. Far from it. And this is exactly what I explained in this book. Long before the Twitter suspension, we had cause to meet and warn several, microblogger, platforms, Google, Twitter. We invited them, sometimes directly, sometimes through our agency, National Broadcasting Commission, sometimes through the NCC. Now, the reason why Twitter was suspended was because, progressively, Twitter was becoming the platform of choice for anybody wishing to destabilize the country. That was the reason. And contrary to what is held out there, we held meetings with Twitter for several whole months with the highest level of, the management of Twitter. And all that and all the correspondence are in this book. So, what is out there, the optic out there, is sometimes very different from what the reality is. And this is why I believe that I owe it a duty to posterity and to future leaders to let the world know exactly what are those activities behind the headlines and behind the sound bites.
We'll talk a little more about some of these issues you've raised when we return in just a moment, so please stay on with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We are with Lai Mohammed, CON, longest-serving Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture. When you spoke about your family, asking that, look, why didn't you resign, and you later explained to them the workings behind the scenes, isn't that an indication that, wait a minute, that's a feedback of perhaps your communication not getting to the audience that it was meant to? Isn't that an example?
Well, it depends, on the way you want to say. Of course, all the government can do is try as much as possible to ensure that its communication gets to the people. And like you see in this book, and I told you, part of the efforts this administration, my administration made to ensure that, we communicated to the people our policies and programs, and we got feedback, was the town hall meetings. We also instituted what we call, testimony series, if you remember, where we invited people who had been impacted by the programs and, policies of government to come and tell Nigerians their impression. I also, as a minister, I used to meet every fortnight, yes, with the bureau chiefs in Abuja. Part of the administration's attempt, effort to make sure that we communicate to the people we are doing. And once a month, we used to meet with all security architecture and all the title editors and, radio and television heads, at the NIA. Here, we would discuss with the media chiefs, but it was never meant for publication or to be aired. And the whole idea was to give them a background of what was happening. So we tried our best to ensure that we communicated to Nigerians what was happening. These are apart from the routine press conferences, press releases, television interview.
But why do you think some Nigerians were of the opinion that the communication was largely propaganda, it was defensive, there were lies, and they didn't believe most of them?
Well, I think it's the usual relationship between any government and the governed all over the world. There's always this us against them. The populace ab initio believes that, whatever the government is dishing out must be propaganda. But it's now for the government to be transparent in their own effort to communicate.
Was the government transparent?
Well, you see, to me, one of the highest forms of transparency was the town hall meetings. Because when you now have 4 or 5 ministers, you put them on the spot, and you put Nigerians also in the same hall, and you say, okay, tell them why you don't have roads. Tell them why you don't have water. There's nothing more transparent than that. And people come and say, look, what happened to the road between Yenagoa and Parakot? And the minister is put on the spot to explain. I don't see any amount of transparency more than that. But it's going to be a continuous struggle between government and the people. And it's now for government to continue to look at, innovative ways of even getting more and more transparent.
Whether or not government is transparent is, I know that the jury will be out on that one. But let's, go back to the issue which had out on that one. But let's, go back to the issue which I had asked you earlier, which is essentially asking, how would you rate the performance of your administration, the administration you spoke for 8 years? How would you rate it based on what it campaigned upon? the issue of security and corruption, and given the feedback we're seeing, the results we're seeing, especially with the with the development of banditry, and also very important ministers being interrogated and being arraigned by the EFCC.
Okay, you see, Malcolm, when we came in 2015, the entire Northeast was almost inaccessible. When we came in 2015, in Borno State alone, 13 out of 20 local governments in Borno State were under the complete control of Boko Haram. When on December 5th, 2015, I went with the media to Maiduguri, Konduga, and Bama to see firsthand what success made in capturing some of the lost territories. When we entered Bama, you would think we thought we were either Afghanistan or Morocco. All road signs were covered. The extent of the control of Boko Haram in Bama, because Bama was actually the time we left, state in Nigeria under the control of Boko Haram. Now, insurgency, especially any faith-fueled insurgency, is difficult to eradicate.
I have since considered to you that there was progress made with the fight against Boko Haram.
Fine.
What I have asked is about banditry.
No, you asked about security. So I'm coming to banditry.
Okay. Because we're almost out of time.
You see, I'm coming to banditry. I was also so concerned and so worried about banditry that we had a town hall meeting in Katsina on banditry, where we had the ministers of interior, ministers of defense, everybody. And the first thing the governor of Katsina State then, Alhaji Masari, told us was that the first recorded history of banditry in Katsina State was in 1891. So anybody who thinks that banditry is a latter day development, or it was a Buhari administration development, I think has got it wrong. And people must see banditry beyond kidnapping or stealing of cows. Banditry is actually about resource. It's not by coincidence today that where you have the highest incidence of banditry is also where we have all our most mineral resources. It's a very complex, very deep, and is rooted in control for those resources.
Very quickly, and of course our time is up from what we've been told, can you speak to your relationship with the current president? Do you still have a cordial relationship with him?
Excellent, Malcolm. Excellent.
Just asking.
Look, you see, what do you say about a relationship that dates back more than 30 years? What do you say about a relationship? How do you talk about a man who gave you your very first break in life politically? How can you talk about a relationship that spans in and out of office? No, I say with all sense of, pride, and thank God that my relationship with Mr. President is excellent.
Well, this book is supposed to be, is that supposed to be tomorrow?
No, it's actually Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Which is actually the posthumous birthday of President Mohamed Buhari.
Oh. All right, we do thank you for coming on. Lai Mohammed, CON, long-serving Nigeria's Minister of Information, just like yesterday. See how time flies. Even flying on this program as well. We wish you well and thank you for coming on today.
Chamberlain, thank you very much. And Maokwe, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming, and
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a wrap already on the show. We thank you, as always, for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Usoh. Goodbye.
Well, the sun will keep shining on this program. We tell you that, your daily dose of sunshine. And no, not because I'm wearing a yellow jacket, but we hope that your day remains bright but not too hot. Thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogunyuso. On top of the hour is Business Morning.